What on earth is Prince Harry doing in China of all places? It's a question that's been puzzling observers worldwide, especially considering how much royals, diplomats, and UK politicians tend to avoid China due to its sensitive geopolitical landscape. Yet, there he was, making a surprise appearance in Shanghai at the Envision 2025 Global Partner Conference, just as King Charles and Queen Camilla were arriving in Canada for a state visit. The timing couldn't have been more telling, underscoring once again the growing distance between the Sussexes and the rest of the royal family. This wasn't just any trip. Harry's visit to China was connected to his ecotourism initiative, Travelers, or Travest as it's sometimes called, a sustainable travel coalition he co-founded with the aim of transforming the industry through environmental responsibility. Speaking at the summit, he positioned himself as a passionate advocate for sustainable tourism and climate action, an area he's been trying to build his post-royal career around. But the optics were hard to ignore. While King Charles and Queen Camilla were in Canada delivering a high-profile state visit underscored by diplomacy and political weight, Harry was making waves thousands of miles away in Shanghai. The royal calendar clash was stark, signaling the widening gulf between the two camps. Harry knew full well where the king was, and his decision to attend the summit in China at the same time felt like an independent, almost defiant move. Historically, members of the British royal family have been cautious about appearances in China, given the complex political sensitivities. The last notable visits were Princess Anne's a few years back, and Prince William's 2015 trip, which was part of a carefully orchestrated UK government push to encourage Chinese investment. Those visits had clear diplomatic and economic objectives, aligning with Britain's national interests. Harry's trip, by contrast, appeared less strategic and more personal, focusing on promoting his environmental initiative rather than serving as part of a coordinated diplomatic mission. This juxtaposition between the king's high-stakes Canadian visit and Harry's ecotourism pitch in China amplified perceptions that Harry's year has been increasingly erratic and disconnected from the core royal mission. One commentator quipped that Harry seemed to be just watching Meghan go from experiment to experiment, with his public appearances often feeling like attempts to maintain relevance rather than reflect genuine influence. The timing of Harry's trip raised eyebrows. On the very day the king and queen landed in Canada, making headlines with a swift and impactful tour, Harry was delivering a keynote to Asia-Pacific travel executives. Some speculated whether this was an attempt to steal limelight from the monarch's historic visit. But anyone watching closely knows there's no competing with a royal state visit, especially one as significant as King Charles's first official trip to Canada as monarch. The king's presence commanded global attention, overshadowing any other events on that day. Speaking of the king and queen in Canada, the trip was brief but powerful. The royal couple's 24-hour tour was tightly packed with engagements designed to reaffirm Canada's sovereignty amid growing political tensions with the United States. With the specter of President Trump's comments suggesting Canada as a potential 51st state, King Charles delivered a pointed speech in Parliament underscoring the country's freedom and independence. It was a diplomatic power move, a clear message to the world and to the U.S. that Canada remains its own sovereign nation. This was no mere ceremonial visit, but a strategic intervention at a critical moment in Canadian-American relations. The king's speech, carefully crafted and delivered with gravitas, had a major impact. It reassured Canadians and sent a clear signal to political watchers internationally. Sources close to the event praised the king for managing the delicate balance between state diplomacy and public engagement, especially given the challenging political atmosphere. Meanwhile, questions arose about how this diplomatic tightrope was managed behind the scenes. Some wondered whether King Charles was now at odds with Donald Trump for his firm support of Canada during this fraught period. But observers noted that Trump, known for his complicated relationship with the royals, seemed to have great respect for the monarchy, having been the only U.S. president to receive a second state visit in the UK, a rare honor that signaled a high level of esteem. The king's role in Canada was emblematic of his unique position as monarch of multiple realms, including Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Despite his recent health struggles, including a cancer diagnosis, King Charles has been deeply committed to fulfilling his duties across the Commonwealth. His tightly scheduled visit, flying on a Canadian Forces jet with a press contingent and palace staff in tow, showed a dedication to his role despite the personal toll. During the flight, palace staff and journalists were strictly segregated by class and protocol. The king and queen enjoyed the privacy and comforts befitting their status, while media members sat far back. The atmosphere was formal but efficient, a well-oiled machine executing centuries-old tradition with a modern touch. It's clear King Charles was carrying a heavy burden. As the longest-serving Prince of Wales before his accession, he has spent decades preparing for this moment, and despite the personal challenges, he appears determined to make an impact. His wife, Queen Camilla, has been an important anchor, tempering his workaholic tendencies and ensuring he maintains balance. The synergy between them has been noted as crucial to sustaining his demanding schedule. As for Harry, this China visit stands in sharp contrast. His role remains uncertain as he navigates the complicated aftermath of stepping back from royal duties and attempts to carve out a meaningful post-royal identity. The trip highlights the growing divergence between him and the official monarchy, raising questions about his future direction and how he fits within the wider royal family narrative.